Welcome to the MYS Virtual Hangout. Here's your host, MYS Music Director, Raúl Gómez.
Welcome everybody to another MYS Virtual Hangout. This is episode 62, and my guests tonight are Jasmine Johnson and Michael Parham. They are resident artists with the Portland Opera, and I'm excited to talk to them to learn about their musical journeys and to learn about an upcoming performance that they have on February 11th. Jasmine, Michael, welcome to the MYS Virtual Hangout number 62. It's episode 62. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Well, yeah, can't complain. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for doing this. And it looks like you're both at the Portland Opera right now.
Yeah, we are. We had an Italian class this morning, so we just finished that up and just doing a little practicing in between. We have a lot of stuff going up, so we're just doing practicing.
Sure, yeah. So have you guys been spending most of your time at the Portland Opera facilities, or has COVID meant that you have to be home, etc.?
It's pretty much half and half. We spend 50% of our time at home and 50% of our time at the Opera House. Because we're in such a tight-knit pod, we really don't break outside of that pod. So
Yes.
We usually are going to and from together. So
Wonderful.
What we do, yep.
Very nice. Well, look, you guys, one of our favorite things to do at the MYS Virtual Hangouts is get to know our guests' history in music, how you got started, when and how you discovered, in your case, singing, and when was it that you knew this is what I'm going to do? So why don't we start with you, Jasmine? Take us all the way back.
Okay, so I was actually born in Louisiana, and I was raised in Houston, and from there, my parents, they were in the middle of a divorce. So my mom decided to take us to Texas, and I was just in a lot of different schools that, they weren't singing the kind of music I was used to in Louisiana. They were singing very classical, very traditional, liturgical music, actually. So I kind of got into that and was like, okay, this is fun. It's not gospel, but it's still fun. It's great music to sing. And then when I was in middle school, my choir teacher, told my mom that I was going to be an opera singer. Just told her, it's like, she's going to be an opera singer. You need to make sure she gets voice lessons. So when I got in middle school, I started taking voice lessons, and then high school, and then it just took off from there. My senior year, I was in Houston Grand Opera High School Voice Studio. So I was able to really travel a lot and do different competitions while I was still in high school through Houston Grand Opera. And that's how I was led to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, where I got my bachelor's, my master's, and my postgraduate.
Yeah. Very cool. Where in Louisiana were you born? I lived in Louisiana for 10 years before I came to Oregon, Baton Rouge and New Orleans.
Okay, I'm from Lake Charles.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I was there many times. Also on my way to Houston for gigs, or I-10.
I-10, exactly.
So, but when in that process, Jasmine, were you did you have a moment when you told yourself, oh, this is what I'm doing? Or did you always kind of know?
I think for me, singing had always been a passion. I sung in church, I sung for my family. It was just always something that was ingrained in me. But I think it was specifically opera that I chose once I was in high school, and things just started coming my way, and I really didn't know what to think of it. And I said, to myself, even though there weren't a lot of Black people that I knew doing this,
yes,
I knew that it was something that I was passionate about.
Very cool. Michael, what's your background here?
So I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but I was raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And for me, it started in the church and kind of branched out from there. In church, we sang a lot of hymns and a lot of spirituals and some gospel. And I could never really sing gospel well. I'd always lose my voice trying to sing it. But there was this older lady in my church, Mrs. Logan, who would always sing spirituals. She had this beautiful, just the natural vibrato, with not really a trained voice, but the way she sang spirituals was very much so in the tradition, just full-throated and gorgeous. And so I started singing spirituals in church and with the church choir. And when I was 8, I joined the Chattanooga Boys Choir, and I stayed in the Boys Choir for 8 years. I got to travel with them to the Czech Republic, all over the country, singing. for that 8 years. It was an amazing experience. And then when I was in high school, I went to an all boys school. So I joined the choir and the glee club and the men's ensemble, and I was heavily involved in music, choral music. I love choral music a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see myself as a soloist, even though I had a voice that always stuck out. Everyone always said your voice sticks out like a sore thumb. And it really did. I could not blend my voice at all. So through that, when I was applying to colleges, I was more so considering finance or medicine at the time. But all of the well, not all of them, some of them were academic, but the scholarships half of the ones I got for like big schools were for music scholarships, because I auditioned for them. So I sang for Vanderbilt and Wake Forest, which aren't really known for their music, but it was a great opportunity to get some money, free money from schools.
Sure.
So I took a full ride to Wake Forest for voice and academics, and I had a great tenor teacher there, Richard Hurd. And after my first year, I decided to transfer schools just because I wanted to be in a more music-centric program. So I transferred to Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama, where I was a biology major, but a music minor, because I was still kind of torn about committing to music, but I knew I wanted, but I kind of knew in the back of my head that I wanted to be a singer, but in the front of my head was like, this makes no sense, and my parents want me to make money too. So I was pretty bad. After my sophomore year at Oakwood, my teacher recommended that I do a summer singing program in New York. So I auditioned and got in, and I was still a bio major at this point. I had never sung an opera at all. And they put me in La Boheme, singing a small part in La Boheme. I had never studied Italian. I had never taken a diction class. I did not know what I was doing.
Wow.
So for the 3 of the 6 weeks, I was just very stressed out, trying to learn how to do what opera singers do. And after the 6 weeks was up, at our final bow, I remember talking to the music director and the artistic director, and they were like, we did not think you were gonna make it through. And I was like, neither did I, but I knew I had to try. I knew I had to try. And after that, I was sold. Like, it was the most challenging thing I had ever tried to do, but it was also, for me, the most gratifying. And it kind of remains that way to this day. So after that La Boheme, I went back to school and knew I was going to be an opera singer. I switched majors, became a biology minor and a music major. I studied abroad for a year in Italy to learn Italian. And it was just kind of, from that point on, I just knew I was going to be an opera singer. I've been kind of pursuing it.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and, after those early years for both of you, each of you had sort of different routes, right? Because Jasmine, you went straight to San Francisco Conservatory, and Michael, you kind of found that as you went along. But what would you guys say were some of the challenges that you faced along your particular route?
I know for me, people were telling me that I couldn't do it. They were just flat out saying, why would you choose something like that? You'll never be successful in this. And that was a huge thing for me because...
And you mean people like within the world of music, or people outside of that world?
Outside of that world. It was like family members, but not my mom. My mom was very supportive, but it was everybody outside of the family, or it was my friends that I was in sports with. It was just a lot of different people that were coming to me saying that I could never do this. And that was a real challenge for me because I am somebody who I like to please people. I like to make sure everything's, my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted. So having this, extra backlash from everybody in my circle was really hard and made me feel like, well, maybe I should do something else. But it was my mom that, made sure those challenges weren't real challenges, but they were just trials and tribulations that I had to go through and get over, Yeah.
How about you, Michael?
For me, everyone was supportive of music being a hobby. So, but it got difficult the second I decided to make it a career instead. Both familial and friends, people don't really understand why you'd want to do something like this for a career. So finding a circle of people who get it is very hard. Most of my friends are in finance or in medicine, or lawyers. So that was hard for me, not really having a circle of people who understood for a long time why I wanted to do this. So I felt kind of lonely in that way until I found that group of people. And then I had to fight my own insecurities that maybe I wasn't good enough to do it. All those voices in my head that people had planted in my head saying like, there are better things you could do with your time, your money, just like that make more logical sense. And that was something I had to get over. As well, there comes a point when you're still training because the timeline for opera singers is very different from other fields.
Yes.
So our development takes a lot longer, even compared to instrumentalists. It takes a lot longer. So I say definitely in grad school, coming out of grad school, I'm still considered a young artist. I just turned 30, but I'm still considered very young for opera. So having my friends who like are in the professional world and being treated as adults and getting paid like adults and getting to like do other things and kind of live a different life by this point was hard for me to come to grasp was for a long time because I was comparing myself to them and their trajectories, and that's not healthy because it's totally different. Yeah. So I still to this day have to get over that and focus on like myself, my timeline, my progress, and just pursue my passion because very few people, and at this point I can appreciate this more, actually take the risk of pursuing their passion because the trajectory is so unsure in this kind of thing, pursuing your passions. So I'm finally reaping the rewards of that now.
Yes.
But there was a good 10-year period between 20 and 30 that I will say I was like scared crapless.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to want to commit to something that didn't really have a definitive like end point or goal.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, I have so many questions. I just gotta choose wisely because we didn't have a lot of time. But I do want to ask you guys. So, at this, your residency with the Portland Opera, there are 3 more members of your cohort, right? So all of these things we're just talking about, is this something that you guys talk about with each other? Do you find all 5 of you to be sort of in a sort of similar trajectory? Like I'm curious about, this small family that it must be like, right?
I think that we've all had similar experiences with just like the doubt, the insecurities, the different challenges of auditions, of consistently getting rejected from things. It's something you have to deal with when you're at in any field that is high performance, that is highly competitive. You face a lot of rejection. So we're all kind of like accustomed to that and know what that is like, but also know like the glorious feeling of success too and like wins. But I also think that like trajectory wise, it's so hard to compare to each other because everyone kind of just does their own thing, has their own strength, their own voice type, their own passions. I love new music. I love to sing new music right now. Not everyone loves that, but for me, that's kind of something that an interest I've developed since being here actually is my love for new music and Black composers especially, and well, actually just BIPOC composers in general. And that's something that I want to champion more now. That's not everyone's story, but we absolutely talk about these things. And we absolutely there are so many ways in which we can bond because of our shared struggles as artists, as musicians, as people in a highly competitive environment. And that's something I also found my other friends outside of opera now too, is that like, when you want to be the best at something, when you're in a competitive field, there are certain, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whatever you're doing, there are certain challenges mentally and otherwise you have to be able to overcome to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for the struggle, honestly, because I feel like every day I'm getting stronger and stronger and closer to what I want to be doing. And in fact, I am doing a lot of what I want to be doing now, which is also like strange. So I'm like, oh, I'm doing the thing that I want to be doing officially.
Yeah. And Jasmine, you're clearly, as you said, your mom was always there for you, but have some of these people come around?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm my hometown success. at this point. Like, I am the place where I came from. I'm the success story. And now all of those people, they want to be a part of my circle and a part of my journey and story in life, but of course, you just have to treat them as you do anybody else in any field. Even though this is a self-serving field that we're in, it's still completely customer based.
Sure.
So I am going to put on a happy face and let those people be a part of my journey from a distance,
Yeah.
so they can see the growth that I have worked so hard for.
Yeah. What that makes me think about is, when I think back of when I was, elementary school or middle school, whatever, I looked up to some people. I mean, I was getting started with the violin, and it's just really cool to think that, there are probably little boys and little girls in your hometowns who look up to you, right?
It's weird.
And it's cool, and it's also kind of a responsibility to sort of take on that role and inspire a new generation of future singers and artists.
Yes, especially ones of color.
Yes.
We know that, sometimes they're not afforded the same opportunities. So if they see us doing it, and we all have completely different backgrounds, it's possible for them too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. You, both of you shared a video with us that I am very excited to share with our Metropolitan Youth Symphony students and our viewers. And I would love to start with yours, Jasmine. So if you wouldn't mind introducing the video, and then we'll take a listen.
So this is Olga's aria from Eugene Onegin by Tchaikovsky. And in this aria, Olga, she just wants to live her life. She's tired of everybody complaining about things and being negative. She's like, why don't we just chill out, take some deep breaths, go sit on the balcony, and just go relax and chill out. Life is fine. Life is great. Stop worrying about everything.
Very nice. Okay, here you have it. Everybody enjoy.
Is samotna I salavliva meniari bionkom se zavut.
That was awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Jasmine. Where was this performed and recorded?
Actually, this was recorded right next door in the staging studio here at the Portland Opera.
Very nice. Well, thank you for sharing that video. And Michael, let's go to you. What will you be sharing with us?
Yes, this aria is Questo Amor. It's from Puccini's Edgar. In this scene, I'm playing the character Frank, and I'm singing about unrequited love. I have fallen in love with the character Tigrana, who is kind of the town frolic of sorts. No, he loves her. She does not love him back. She loves someone else, and she consistently mocks and derides him. So in this aria, he is just bemoaning about the fact that, like, I love this woman, but I hate that I love this woman so much.
Sure.
So Questo Amor, yeah.
Very nice. Okay, enjoy, everybody. Very nice. Thank you, Michael. And was this also shot at the same building where you are right now?
Opera in the staging studio.
Very nice. You know, hearing you guys sing these arias and hearing you describe what's happening, the action in those areas, it makes me think about the universality of some of these themes that we find in some of these, you know, let's say timeless pieces, right? Um, do you find yourselves when you're learning and exploring a character connecting with those sort of universal experiences?
Yes, completely. I feel like this for me is why I sing opera because of the storytelling and the characters that I get to play and that I get to connect with. Because it's like live soap opera. I mean, if people really dive deep into these scores, they would see how crazy these operas are. And I feel like this is why people should, everybody should be involved in opera. It's not just an elitist thing. It's just storytelling in a larger form.
Yeah.
100% agree. You can tell when I'm singing something I don't connect with, and if I'm not connecting with it, it's probably because it's poorly written. But yeah, I find myself getting immersed into characters all the time, and I love singing opera because it's like your real life on steroids, and so it's like
Yes.
it's bigger, it's louder. You can be the most of anything because you have to be to get over the orchestra and into the house and to project that. So, I mean, if you have any flair for dramatic in your life, or have been to anything, there's literally an opera for every scenario that you have not been through. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And what do you guys, this is kind of a big question. What do you guys want to see in your field in the next 5 to 10 years? And with this, I mean, you know, internally, right? But also externally with, you know, the relationship of the art with audiences and that sort of thing.
I think for me, internally and externally, I want to see more diversity and more innovation.
Mm,
I think that we dumb our audiences down by continuing to program the same works.
mm.
I feel like if we don't open up our audience, who will? It's just like fashion. I always say this. Fashion Week, they update their looks every season. Every time they're coming out with a new catalog, it's new looks. We have to do the same with opera if we expect
Yes.
the people to stay engaged.
Amen.
Preach, okay? Everything she said. No, I want to see a more diverse cast. I want to see a more diverse administration. I want to see a more diverse audience. I want the composers that we use to be more diverse. I'm not just talking about color. I'm talking about gender. I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about all of it. I want to see more. If you have a story in your life, there should be an opera for it at this point. I'm like, and we have so many great composers there who haven't been heard that in the next 5 to 10 years, I want to see more Latinx people getting their stuff programmed. I want to see them on stage. I want to see my Korean friends singing on stage and singing in their languages, not just Italian and French and German. I want to hear, there's just so many beautiful languages in the world and so many different tones and modes that we don't use in the Western system but we could also be utilizing in opera that I want to hear on stages. I want to see all of that. I want to see bigger operas. I want to see smaller operas that fit your budget, fit your location, and fit your community. I
Yes.
want to see more opera houses hiring their local musicians. I say that being from Tennessee, being organ right now, but thank you. But I also I think that sometimes you want to fly in stars, but you kind of skip over the stars you have in your own towns.
Yes.
And I think that the best way to develop an opera house, especially at the regional level, is to develop the talent in your area, which I think Houston does an amazing job with. Houston's one of those houses that homegrown audience, homegrown talent. But I want to see more of that just nationwide. I really want us to be developing from an early age in the middle school, high school, and have those local pipelines that really help promote the arts in your own areas and tell stories that are relevant to your area. In Oregon, we're surrounded by so many indigenous populations. We should be telling those stories and
Yes.
using their music in those stories.
Yes.
So these are all things I want to see.
Yeah. You know, yes and yes. And there is a lot of work yet to be done. I think we can all agree on that. But, I have to share with you guys that when I hear young people, for MYS students, talking about music, talking about what's important to them, when I see the diversity in our youth ensembles, that gives me hope and, again, an increased sense of responsibility to make sure that all of us together continue to lead and to move our field in this direction. So it's just very exciting to me to see what's happening. Um, and again, just a reminder that there's still a lot of work to be done, and we gotta roll up our sleeves and just continue doing that work. So I have a couple of more things to ask you before I have to let you go. The first one is a segment that we do for all MYS virtual hangouts, and the segment is called Sound Advice. So I have a same prompt for the two of you. I'll start with Jasmine, and my question to you is, if you could travel back in time and find yourself when you were in high school, what advice would you have for yourself?
Oh, that's a good one. I think the first thing I would tell myself is be confident. They're gonna try to call your names and take a lot of things from you, but you are the shining star that everybody is looking for. And I think I would also tell myself to don't be afraid to be who you are. And I guess that just goes with the confidence, because I was trying to mold into every situation I could possibly find. I was trying to be with this group of friends and be this Jasmine, and be with this group of friends and be this Jasmine. I just really didn't find myself until I was singing, until I was in San Francisco, until I was doing what I loved every day. But if I would have found that earlier, I would have been in a better place, and I wouldn't have made the mistakes that I made in my life, even though I'm grateful for those mistakes because I've learned, but I wouldn't have made those same mistakes if I would have just had confidence in who I really was.
Very nice. Thank you. Michael.
She always has the right answer stuff. So, for me, I would say believe your passion, trust your passion, and pursue your passion. Especially at the middle school and high school level, it's very tempting to just want to fit in, to become a chameleon, like you said, and like kind of blend into your environment. But that's not really what makes you interesting. So whatever your passion is, no matter how esoteric that field may be, like pursue it, and don't pursue it apologetically.
Mm.
Don't apologize for what you believe in, what you love, what you want to do with your life. Because there comes a point when you realize that literally no one else is in control of your life except for you. So whatever that thing is that makes you want to get up out of bed in the morning, that makes you want to go to the practice room for 5 hours or study for however long, like do that thing and enjoy that thing and become great at that thing. Because that's what's going to fuel you, and people will get on board if you stay on board.
Nice. Very good. That's excellent sound advice from the two of you. And my final question for you guys is, we have a performance coming up, or you have a performance that we will get to enjoy on February 11th. So what can we expect and how can we tune in?
So we are doing a recital February 11th. You can tune in on YouTube. Portland Opera has their own YouTube page. My recital is featuring all Black composers, and I'm doing everything in English. So I've created a character arc for the character that I'm using in my recital. And even though all the songs are different, written by different composers, I've connected the character from start to finish. So I hope you guys really enjoy that.
Nice.
Yes, and I will be on that same recital, and I'm also doing all Black male composers on my recital, and it will also be in English. I'm going to be featuring the works of Robert Owens, Steve Wallace, Jarrell Gray, Gregory Walker. It's really beautiful, and some other pieces in there using the poetry of Langston Hughes and Nikki Giovanni, and some other like really hauntingly beautiful pieces. These are pieces written for us, by us. So I'm really excited to share those with the world, because there are so many great Black composers whose works are not known and need to be known, both dead and in my case, also living. I have a lot of living composers on my program. So I'm excited to champion their works and to, just like have those colleagues. It's really cool to get to talk to a living composer about their work, and then to champion that work. So I'm super excited for this recital. I hope you all can join in and learn some new music and get to see us perform.
Wonderful. And it's just the two of you, or is it the whole company of resident artists?
Recital is just the two of us. We have another one
Yes.
on the 25th that will be the entire ensemble.
Very nice. Well, I am personally very excited to check it out, and I'm sure that we'll have many Metropolitan Youth Symphony students and their families watching as well. Michael, Jasmine, thank you so much for spending time with us. It was a pleasure talking with you guys, and we all look forward to seeing more of you in the coming months and years.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Jasmine Johnson and Michael Parham from the Portland Opera. Do not miss their upcoming recital on February 11th, and follow the links in the video description to learn more about Michael and Jasmine, about the Portland Opera's Resident Artist Program, and their YouTube channel, where you will be able to enjoy their upcoming performance. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Metropolitan Youth Symphony, for more virtual hangouts and performances in the coming weeks and months. See you next time. Take care.